Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Energy News Beat and Energy Impacts podcast. It's a joint operation here between me and my partner, Stu Turley. Dr. Stu, how you doing up in Oklahoma today, buddy?
It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood, and we got podcast number 2 coming around the corner.
Yes, our second of the day, and this one's really good. This one we really like because it's with John Calce, who's the chairman and the founder of America First Refining. It is going to be the first new major 50,000 barrel a day plus refinery opened in the United States since, I believe, 1981 was the last one that actually, greenfield, that opened. And this one is going to be located in Brownsville, Texas, along the Rio Grande, not that far from my old stomping grounds as a kid. John, how are you today?
I'm wonderful. Thank you all for having me. A pleasure to see you all.
Well, it's a pleasure to see you too. I saw this news the other day and cranked out a piece at Forbes on it in about 2 hours. I got so excited, and it's really just a great story here, and I'm really optimistic y'all are going to be able to get this done. Talk about, first of all, what gave you the wild hair to try to do a new refinery in the United States of America to begin with?
Well, apparently I'm good at making bad decisions. So, no, so I spent the last 20 years of my life plus in the energy business, worked primarily on the upstream E&P side of it, owned oil field service businesses. You know, we own stuff around the frac job, from downhole pumping, pressure services, frac sand haulers, the whole 9 yards. And my role in our private equity shop was I was kind of the business development guy. So I went out and found the next shale play. And as part of that business, I had a side business where I bought and sold leases and minerals as part of my job. And so I managed to accumulate royalties across all the major shale basins. Started off in the Barnett in 04, 05. Yeah, went to Haynesville from there, Marcellus, Utica in Ohio, the Bakken, and then ended up in West Texas. And in 2014, something strange started happening on royalty checks. I was getting a much better price for WTI West Texas Intermediate crude in North Dakota than I was in Reeves County, West Texas. I didn't understand why. I'm an E&P guy. You drill a hole in the ground, stuff comes out, you go to the next hole, right? And all of a sudden, I'm getting 15 off WTI in North Dakota, but I'm getting 30 to 50 off TI in Reeves County. Yeah. So I found some midstream and downstream friends, said, guys, what's going on here? I mean, North Dakota, I get. You got to take a horse and buggy to get to a market, right? West Texas has pipelines. What's happening? They said, well, John, that shale oil they're making out there, especially in the Delaware Basin, is super light. I didn't know what that meant. They said it doesn't fit the U.S. refining spec. Our refineries were all designed, from the 19 teens to the 70s. They're designed to process heavier grades of crude, 38 to 42 gravity. And the stuff you boys are making out there, 50 gravity, just doesn't fit. And I said, what do you do with it? They said, we just blend it in the stream and it goes away. And I said, well, I started in the Bakken at 0 barrels a day. And when I left there, we were at 1.5 million a day. And I knew West Texas was bigger. And I said, well, what happens when there's a lot of it? And of course, their first reaction was there's not that much shale oil in West Texas, 2014. Yeah. I said, all right, humor me, pretend I'm right. They said, we have a problem. So we can either do two things. We can either export it, and this was before Obama lifted the export ban, or we can build a new refinery. But no one's ever done that in like 50 years.
Right.
And I said, well, how hard can that be? So, like I said, bad decisions. So I went down to Austin, saw the governor, said, Mr. Governor, I want to build a refinery inside the port of Brownsville. It's the last non-industrial deep water port on the Gulf Coast. It's on the border of Mexico. Mexico's short 1 million barrels a day of refined product. And this is 2015. And he says, John, that's a great idea. It'll take you 18 months to get a permit. This is Texas. It goes fast. I said, this is easy. Why hasn't anyone done this? 7 years later, I got the permit.
Yeah. Yeah.
7 years later.
No fault of the TCQ. They've been wonderful, right? The TCQ did exactly what they were supposed to do. It turns out it just takes a long time. We spent a couple years in court with the Sierra Club, et cetera. But by 2022, I finally had the first greenfield refinery permit on the Gulf Coast since 1971 or something. So that's how I ended up here. Basically a series of bad decisions.
What a great thing, because this refinery is going to be designed to do West Texas crude and turn it and crack it and turn it into gasoline and diesel for either use in the States or export. Is that correct?
That's 100% correct. Yeah. So one of the things I realized I was learning the refining business was temperature matters. And the way I explain to people the simplest way is think of an oven, right? An oven's an oven, okay? But a refinery is an oven. You have to set the temperature and leave it. So if you want to make pizzas, you get 1,000-degree oven because that's what you make pizzas in. That's a heavy oil refinery. If you want to make cookies, you get a 350-degree oven. Think of that as the shale oil oven, okay? If you put pizza dough in a cookie oven, it never cooks. If you put cookies in a pizza oven, they burn up. Shale and heavy oil work the same way.
Yeah.
That's the basics of it. So I realized we need to build a refinery designed to process specifically shale oil at the temperatures and the settings that are optimal for shale oil. Nice. That's what we did in Brownsville.
Boy, the world is needing diesel and gasoline in a huge way right now, with the Strait of Hormuz being blocked down. We only import 2% out of the Strait of Hormuz. Guess where that goes? California.
Yep.
California's down to 7 refineries. 6 of those refineries are slated to close. Here's California into failure. Here's Texas. God bless John. We love you, John.
Dude, it's even crazier. Cool. It's even crazier than that. It's even crazier than that. So I mentioned that, we could export light shale oil, and we do. Our producers do a great job of making it. It ends up mostly in Corpus, some in Houston, ends up on a boat and heads for Asia. And turns out light shale crude oil is ideal for turning into gasoline and diesel because there's no heavy bottom end, right? So it's a perfect feedstock for a motor fuels refinery. So we send about 5 million barrels of ideal feedstock from the Gulf Coast to Asia every day. Guess where that gasoline ends up?
California.
You got it. Is that not the craziest thing you've ever heard?
And
it really is. It's just insane.
I just wrote a hairy article and I just got airsick. John, I kid you not. And David, I was sitting there going, we import 70% of the oil into California. We just had our greatest Secretary of Energy help out with President Trump in a wonderful way to sit there and get the Sable offshore pumping again. And then it is not going to make any difference because they import so much diesel and gasoline. It's bad.
It's an insane situation. Before the shale revolution, right? Everyone thought onshore U.S. was done, right? Fortunately, Chris Wright, actually, I'm going to brag on him for a second.
Yeah.
He was one of the fathers of fracking.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. He invented Frac Pro software. And that's what helped map fracs, which helped us design better frac jobs. And I had the honor of working with Chris in the Bakken in 2010 to 12 or thereabouts.
No way.
Oh, I didn't know that. No.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I helped a little bit of help on that project.
Fantastic.
That's when I first met Secretary Wright. But yeah, I mean, the situation we find ourselves in is crazy. We talk about bad decisions. We've made a bunch of bad decisions in the energy space in this country for a long time. And look, we're all in favor of a cleaner environment. I always tell people, you'll never find a better collection of environmentalists than the oil field. Yep. We all love fishing and hunting and being outdoors with our kids and our grandkids and everything else. That's what we truly love.
And especially at $100 oil, we all buy boats.
Well, there is that.
But our Secretary Chris Wright has been on the podcast 4 times before he was Secretary of Energy, and we're going to get him back on here. But he's a little bit busy right now.
A little bit.
Absolutely a great human. Match him up with Secretary Bessent, and holy smokes, Batman. Then you've got Doug Burgum, and then you've got Lee Zeldin. We got a trifecta going nuts here. I mean, This is absolutely wonderful. How is the EPA going to help you out right now?
So that's a great question. The truth of the matter is we appreciate to have any help. This is all private money. It's been me and some private partners that got the thing from conception to here.
Wow.
In Texas, the TCEQ manages the permitting. They follow every EPA guideline. So my hat's off to TCEQ. Region 6 of the EPA does review everything. So we went through that as well. The good news is this is a true all-American story. We followed every rule. We did everything the right way from start to where we are now. And so it's, what made this project financially possible was candidly President Trump's focus on investment in America.
Yeah.
That really changed the tone and tenor of how people overseas looked at the opportunity to invest in the U.S. We got a great partner in the folks at Reliance. They run the largest refinery on the planet in Jamnagar, 1.6 million barrels a day.
I can't even imagine the scale of that. I've toured Baytown and Beaumont refineries, and I just can't imagine the scale. Wow. I mean, Baytown's a third the size of that, and it's enormous.
Yeah, it's enormous. And they do it right. They're absolutely hyper focused on clean.
Nice.
They're very focused on emissions. The way they handle their technology, we saw some of our guys went out and were looking at their docks for their ships. All automated. You have people there, right, working the automation. Obviously, you need a lot of people, but not a drop is spilled. It is totally clean. They did a terrific job. So they're great partners for us from a technical side. And they're going to buy a little bit of product. They're going to buy a little bit of product from us for 20 years. Yeah. Right? And that's all credit to President Trump. The National Energy Dominance Council, which Secretary Bergman Wright helped put in place, along with Susie Wiles, Chief of Staff of the President. And a quick prayer to her. She, y'all heard, I'm sure she's fighting breast cancer. She's an amazing woman. I've had the pleasure to meet her, been the honor to meet her. She's incredible. And the National Energy Dominance Council has helped us with candidly introducing us and helping us meet some of these people overseas. And that's been the great secret. It's not been some crazy thing. It's simply promoting American business done the right way in an environment where people go, wait a second, I want to invest in America. And that's credit to President Trump. That's hats off to him.
So what is left to do on the permitting front now? Do you have your air quality permit from the EPA?
Yes,
that's
sir.
Already been issued, right? That's really the biggest hurdle. I mean,
that was
refinery.
mentioned 7 years. Yeah. So we've got some more permits, small stuff with the county. You got to get a building permit. We got to, design some buildings. You have to pull a ton of electrical permits. We're going to employ a lot of people in the Valley. It's going to be great. And then once we're operational, you have to get certified to operate, right? But yeah, we have all the permits. Again, we followed every rule. Brownsville has been great. The port has been tremendous to work with.
Nice.
I mentioned it's the last non-industrial port. That is changing really fast.
Yeah, fast.
It is changing really fast. So we were honored to be down there and be one of the guys that helped with the industrialization. And they were very patient. This product took a long time. I took my first lease in Brownsville in 2014.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow. So I'm 12 years in the port.
And
the port directors and the port commissioners said, John, when's this thing going to get built? And I said, I'm working on it. And they were patient and they said, are you really working? I said, I promise I'm really working on it. But yeah, so they've been terrific. Now what we're doing now is we're finishing up our engineering work and we'll start construction of the asset. We've already done a lot of the civil kind of prep. So we haven't been sitting on our hands. But the way we'll build this is what's called mega modules. So these are units that are come in on vessels from primarily the Middle East, and India is actually going to build some of them.
Nice.
But they're about 100 feet wide, 300 feet long, a couple hundred feet tall, and weigh like 80,000 tons. And they come in on a boat, and then they roll them off. You've seen the videos, the space shuttle kind of rolling around. Yeah. Same kind of thing, but with a refinery piece. And they'll snap into place like Tinker Toys. We'll have an army of welders down there working. Our tank farm, of course, will be built on site, but we anticipate having all that happen by the end of 28. We should have everything on the ground. So American engineers, it's gonna be a.
You said 28, or you're going to be testing in 27 and production in 28.
Yeah, so we can be what's called mechanically complete in 28, which means we'll have all of our gear on site and everything in commissioning, with our first full year of operations in 29. Which is really fast for a project.
That is really fast. That's really fast. The president in his Truth Social post, I created some confusion. He gave the impression that y'all are spending $300 billion building this refinery. And I tried to correct that a little bit in the story I wrote and on Twitter, but yeah, I want to give you a chance to correct the record.
Well, the president, again, loves large
God
numbers.
bless him.
And God bless him for that. And so never let a headline go to waste.
Yeah.
And 300 billion is a correct number in the project. It's not what it costs to build it.
Right.
But it'll cost about between $3 and $4 billion to build it.
Yeah.
But our contract with Reliance for them to purchase our products will create about $300 billion of trade deficit reduction.
Yeah.
And that's a combination of buying. So we'll run about 60 million barrels a year through this project. So a 20-year contract with Reliance means we're going to buy 1.2 billion barrels of oil to support this project over 20 years.
Wow.
Fantastic.
Yeah. And then we'll sell roughly the same amount of products on the other side. So when you kind of add up and you take pricing factors, I'm sure there's some, I'm an old guy from Texas, right? I mean, I was an offensive lineman in college. I did my best with math, not always the greatest, better at selling, shall we say.
Yeah.
But if you run the numbers in a reasonable fashion, you end up with about 125 billion of oil purchases projected over 20 years and about $175 billion of product sales over that 20-year cycle.
I went to Oklahoma State. They didn't teach us how to read. So
I can attest. Stu can read. He can read. He can't talk very good, but he can read.
I'm a fuzzy-headed foreigner to my Texan. But since I'm a Texas resident and I did vote in this past one, I am a Texican.
Attaboy.
So I've got a stupid, it's probably a stupid question. Do you have, and I'm sure I know the answer to this probably, but I'm assuming you probably have additional acreage, enough space already in hand to expand this thing even beyond this 160,000 a day initial capacity eventually, right? If the business climate is right.
Yeah, there is some room to grow. So I mentioned Mexico. So when I originally designed this, we thought about moving about 100,000 barrels a day of gasoline to Mexico.
Yeah. So
we sized the unit for 168,000 barrels a day of crude distillation. Depending on the exact gravity we run, that could flex up to 180,000. It depends upon kind of qualities, inputs, et cetera. There is the capacity to expand it. Our base design is very simple. So in refining, they use what's called a Nelson Complexity Index. Yeah. We are a very simple refinery. It is a full refinery, though. We have a reformer, which is what turns naphtha into gasoline. Right. We have diesel and naphtha hydrotreaters and an isomerization unit, as well as a crude distillation unit. Now, those can all be upsized potentially with additional units. Other things we can do down the road is we can potentially make ammonia. So part of the secret of shale is that it makes a lot of hydrogen when you reform it. A lot. Okay. And basically what reformation is for the folks that aren't technical. And by the way, I didn't know what naphtha was in 2015. So let's just start with where I'm at ground zero. Okay. So when you heat and cool naphtha across a platinum catalyst bed, that's called reforming it. And that knocks off H's and adds O's. That's how you make octane. Okay? I'm sure I'm oversimplifying, but my engineers will give me a lecture, but it is what it is. Those O's that make the octane are great. The H's a lot of times get burned. So we'll reuse our H's on our hydrotreaters. We can also reuse our H's in our power plant as well.
Nice.
Which is great, right? And then we can also turn it potentially into fertilizer. That would be another permit in addition. So our base design, and I have a great partner named Trey Griggs, and Trey's always like, John, you got plenty of ideas. Let's build this one before you go to the next one. So.
All right, John, I'm already excited. I want this done in about 15 minutes. Can you think about, if I bring you somebody, would you be interested in going through this process in California? If we get Steve Hilton, I'm sorry, man. California, if it goes down, the West Coast goes down. And if we can get Steve Hilton in there as a governor, I've interviewed him. And if we can get somebody in there that would build a brand new refinery, if you got guts, you got a pair of cowboy boots that would look good in California, because there's a lot of oil in California.
So Stu, now Trey's gonna be mad at you, just so you know. Look, what makes this project sing is West Texas shale and the Eagle Ford to an extent, right?
Nice.
And we can get neat barrels of West Texas shale down to Brownsville. We've got the pipeline infrastructure in this country to get it down there. Getting it to California will be a little bit bigger of a trick. But I think we could probably build some more refineries in Texas down the road, and we can find a way to get those products to California.
There you go.
That's probably the easier way to do it rather than haul the crude out there. But look, I've followed Steve. I think California is in for a change. I hope so. It's a beautiful state with wonderful people. But again, as I always like to say, at a certain point, reality intersects with the laws of thermodynamics.
You know what I'd like to say is, if you're moving to Texas, welcome to Texas, but leave your dang cotton picking voting record behind. We don't want it.
Well, we stay out of the politics on this end. We're in the business of making fuel for all Americans, so however they vote, however they view it, love it. My sister's a Democrat, love her to death, happy to fill her car up with gasoline. So takes all kinds. But yeah, we're real proud to be in Texas. We're appreciative of the governor, and we love our state. That's for sure.
Now, you guys, no, go ahead, Sue.
No, go ahead.
No, I was just going to ask if, Brownsville's not that big a place. Oh, it's a lot bigger than it was, but it's not a huge city. And I just wonder, Rio Grande LNG's, expanding and getting ready to ship LNG down there, and a lot going on in that port. You having any challenges with traffic, the infrastructure just there in the region? Is that giving y'all any challenges to deal with?
Yeah, that's a concern. I will say again, the local community has done an amazing job for planning on this. The port itself has been gearing up for this for a decade, because these projects take a long time to come together. So they've kind of seen these coming. They've done a great job. All that being said, no, those are challenges we'll have to work through. We're going to be a big taxpayer in Cameron County. Yeah. We're proud to do it. But yeah, that's one of the concerns we have for sure.
Well, after they hear this podcast and they hear that we're over here going, we're going to call up President Trump and say, hey, double his bonus, because he's going to need, we're going to need more refinery space here. So the port is going to go, maybe we can outdo the port of Corpus Christi. What do you think? That's a big port.
That's a big port. That's a big port. But like the port of Brownsville's done an amazing job. They've done a great job attracting business there, and they've been very fair and good to work with.
Yeah,
so they can do it.
That area is just an amazing success story in Texas, just in general, of growth, and the economy's grown so much down there. The education system so much better. I grew up in that, just north of there. And, 30, 40 years ago, that was just kind of this quiet backwater with no real economic production in the state. And now it's just this really an incredible expansion and growth area of the state that really a lot of Texans just aren't aware of. The leadership down there has been amazing.
Yeah, I'll tell you who is aware of it. The Texas A&M and UT systems have put a lot of money to work. Yeah. And we've already got programs going with some of the technical colleges down there.
Nice.
The work they've done in the schools has been tremendous. They are gearing their workforce up for the 21st century, and it's creating opportunities for young people down there they haven't had before.
Oh, that's
David,
cool.
You're entirely correct. I mean, the state university systems have put their money where their mouth is, and we are excited to hire down there because we've got real good technical folks down there.
Yeah, we're really blessed in this state to have two world-class university systems like that. In a single state, there's not many states that have that. Really, I can't really think of one that has it to the just extent that we have both A&M and Texas systems. But I got to tell you a funny story, and I want you to answer a question. When the first post I put up on X about this refinery a few days ago, some guy responds and says, well, they can't build a refinery down there. The Elon Musk spaceships are going to blow up and blow everything up in Brownsville. Do y'all have any real concerns about SpaceX spaceship blowing up and burning the refinery?
Brownsville is the largest port by land mass in the country. It's almost 40,000 acres. Yeah. So Mr. Musk, I think, is 7 miles away from us. Yeah. So hopefully that's far enough away, and it's a big port. But yeah, we're about 11 miles in from the coast and about 7 miles away from SpaceX. The port is enormous. But yeah, we're not worried about Sprockets.
Well,
That one I can put to rest. I can tell you that's not a concern.
Well, let's go get a
Traffic's a
podcast.
concern.
Let's go get a podcast with me, you, David, and Elon, and really have a good powwow about it. Say, hey, you're gonna.
If you get an interview with Elon, you're doing good. That's all I can say. I've been trying for years.
He's a little busy too.
Yeah.
Outstanding job. And John, thank you for your leadership. Thank you for Texas. Thank you for the U.S. Holy smokes. This is really, really cool. I mean, this is a big deal. We're laughing and having a great conversation, but I don't think everybody realizes how big of a deal this is.
Well, we're very appreciative. I've got a tremendous team. I've got some great partners. Tom Ramsey and Ken Douglas were the first guys to join me in 2015. And they've stuck with me for, 11 years together. And we've got some great people. We got a great state. We got a great port. And we've got great citizens in Texas. So we are excited to do it. We appreciate the kind words. But let's get this thing built and can't wait for 2029 to get here.
And the invitation is here, John. We want to help you get your story out anytime you want. Call me, pick up the phone and say, I want this story run. We will run it for you. Or we will be there to do interviews. We don't care. We want this story out there. So thank you.
Well, I appreciate that. We'll have some more news coming, I hope. And we'll definitely come back and see y'all. It's a pleasure talking to you, gentlemen, today. Thank you for making the time.
Same here. Same here. And thank you for doing what you're doing.
We will see you soon. Thanks.
Take care.
Southwest
Thanks,
Texas.
everybody. Take care. See you. Bye-bye.